Stan Lee, real name Stanley Martin Lieber, was an American comic book writer best known for his work with Marvel Comics. He was born on December 28, 1922 in New York and passed away on November 12, 2018 in Los Angeles, California. The Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, the Avengers, and the X-Men were only a few of the hundreds of characters and teams he contributed to the creation. So let's get started, everyone! But without skipping, firstly subscribe to our channel for more updates. Youth and early employment at Marvel Comics. Lieber joined Timely Comics as an editing assistant when he was 16 years old, and in 1942 he was elevated to the editor. By then, he had started penning comic book stories for Timely under the alias Stan Lee, which later became his real name. Lee produced several comic book series in the 1940s and 1950s. However, the firm, subsequently known as Atlas, was having financial difficulties, including The Witness, The Destroyer, Jack Frost, Whizzer, and Black Marvel. The Fantastic Four, about 4 astronauts who acquire superpowers following a cosmic catastrophe, was developed in 1961 by writer Stan Lee and illustrator Jack Kirby. Because of the series, he and Atlas, now known as Marvel, became powerful figures in the comics industry. Spider-Man was conceived by Lee and illustrator Steve Ditko a year later. The collaborative process used by Lee, Kirby, and Ditko became known as the Marvel Technique. The method allows Marvel to create new content at an astounding velocity while giving artists much more say in the storyline. The novels were included in a list of steadily rising bestsellers, including The Incredible Hulk. When Lee and Kirby established the X-Men in 1963, they gave the gang another victor. So now, let's talk about Stanley Lieber. Stanley Lieber, better known as Stan Lee, was born in New York City on December 28, 1922. When he was just 16 years old, he started working as an assistant at Timely Comics, where he got his first in the comics business. He collaborated with the 2 men who created Captain America, Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, and eventually rose to the editor position. After the DC Comics character The Flash was created, Timely was renamed Marvel Comics in 1961, and the superhero group The Fantastic Four made their debut. The Incredible Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and the X-Men are just a few of the iconic comic book characters that Lee later created or collaborated on. The portrayal of how Lee's well-known superhuman characters are human is noteworthy. Peter Parker is undoubtedly a misfit who became Spider-Man, but he is also a young man concerned about females. Tony Stark is a super genius who developed the cutting-edge Iron Man armor to battle criminals, but he is also a troubled individual who struggles with alcoholism. Although Logan, aka Wolverine, has extraordinary healing abilities, he also has anger control problems. These people have realistic flaws. They debate moral dilemmas. However, they put up a valiant battle for justice, saving the day. Their triumphs demonstrate to readers that they too can defeat evil and defend the defenseless, and that they don't have to be superhuman to do it. Later employment and involvement with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. After nearly 60 years of working for Marvel officially, Lee started to focus on other endeavors. In 1999, he founded Stan Lee Media, an online entertainment business centered on his works. His position at Marvel eventually changed to Chairman Emeritus. The animated web series Seventh Portal, which depicted aliens that entered Earth through a seventh portal, the Internet, was Lee's new company's debut effort and was a success. However, the business was plagued by several lawsuits and corruption allegations following this early success. In February 2001, a bankruptcy petition was filed. POW Entertainment was founded in 2004 to handle Lee's numerous new concepts and characters. In 2017, he and his partners sold the business. Successful film versions of the series Lee co-created were made. Blockbuster franchises were started by X-Men and Spider-Man, which collectively brought in billions of dollars at the global movie office. Daredevil, Hulk, and Iron Man were 3 further Lee characters to receive the Hollywood treatment. After Disney acquired Marvel in 2009, Lee continued to often appear in cameo appearances in those movies. Following the purchase, there was a deluge of Marvel movies, including adaptations of Lee Kirby works like Thor, The Avengers, and Ant-Man. Who was the first Marvel person? If we go back in time, Human Torch, Angel and Namor the Submariner were the three superheroes Marvel Comics debuted in its inaugural issue in 1939. The Human Torch, however, was listed first, making him the first Marvel Comics superhero in our opinion. The first comic book released by Timely Comics, the company that existed before Marvel Comics, was Marvel Comics #1. Released in October 1939. 3 of the 7 tales in the debut issue of Marvel Comics, back then Timely Comics, involved superheroes. The Human Torch, also known as Jim Hammond, was initially introduced to continuity in the Human Torch. Thomas Holloway was introduced in the Angel, one of the other 2 superheroes, and the Submariner, another superhero. Jim Hammond is sometimes referred to as the first ever Marvel superhero since the comic book's editor chose to begin the inaugural issue with the tale The Human Torch. The first chapter of the now classic comic book Marvel Comics #1 included the introduction of Human Torch. The author and illustrator Carl Burgos came up with this made-up superhero persona. How did Stan Lee start his career? Stan Lee, the creator of Marvel Comics and the man behind popular characters like Spider-Man, the Hulk, and the X-Men, later became the basis for a multi-billion-dollar film industry that dominated box office receipts in the 21st century, has passed away. He was 95. Don Miller, Lee's agent, announced his passing Monday in Los Angeles. When he learned about employment as an adolescent, Lee said he was performing odd jobs to assist his parents with the rent and other expenses. In 2011, Lee said, "I must have been the sole applicant since I was hired, and I believed it would be a temporary position. I had never considered creating comics. Comics were perceived as a kid-friendly novelty at the time." But Lee continued with it because it grew increasingly engaging with time. When Timely Comics changed to Marvel Comics in the early 1960s, Lee and artist Jack Kirby created the Fantastic Four to take on DC Comics' popular Justice League of America series. By 1972, Lee had advanced to the position of editorial director and publisher at Marvel Comics. Lee helped establish the medium as a cherished pillar of pop culture by becoming recognized for his dynamic text and attention to social themes. As amazing as the characters he developed was Stan Lee. Stan was a superhero in his own right to Marvel fans worldwide. He could uplift, amuse, and unite. Stan the Man Lee returned to the workforce in 2004 and joined POW Entertainment, where he began creating new brands and characters. According to a statement released Monday by Shane Duffy, CEO of POW Entertainment, Stan Lee's legacy will continue to reach the world of true believers via his creative genius and his universes of characters. He was a genuine famous pioneer without equal. It has been a privilege to work with him. In the late 2000s through the 2010s, several movies and television shows gave Marvel a second chance at success. On many of the new Marvel iterations, Lee acted as executive producer. In addition, Lee played brief cameo parts in nearly every movie, much to the joy of his fans. Where did Stan Lee grow up? The legendary characters that continue to entice new generations to the movies were developed in the 1960s by the comic book creator Stan Lee, who passed away at the age of 95. Spider-Man, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the majority of the Avengers, Daredevil, and Doctor Strange are just a few of Stan Lee's creations that helped save the superhero in a cape from oblivion and usher in the golden era of American comic books. After the Second World War, when they were at their peak of popularity, superhero comics fell out of favor. The 1954 adoption of the Comics Code made crime and horror comics with any real impact illegal. With a tiny team and the tales of the romantic adventures Millie the Model and the Wild West gunman Kid Colt, Lee, an editor at Martin Goodman's Atlas Comics, kept Atlas running despite watching the industry collapse around him. But he became sick of producing hundreds of illiterate scripts each month. His wife Joanne advised him as he was about to give up. "Before you do, why don't you do one book the way you would like to? Martin might sever your relationship at worst. But so what? You still want to stop." This advice came simultaneously as National, a competitor publication, underwent a significant character redesign. National's editor Julius Schwartz had been reimagining several old costumed heroes and grouping them up in a new monthly Justice League of America. So that's it for today. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more updates. Thanks for watching.